is up? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, back with some more Aliens Fireteam Elite. And today I have my movie review for the recently released Alien Romulus. Now before I get into this review, I just want to have an introduction to me with the whole franchise of Alien. The first two movies, Alien and Aliens, are two of my all-time favorite movies. Like, if I had a situation where I'm stuck on an island and I can bring 10 movies with me, there are two of those movies going with me. I love the first two movies to death. I love the whole xenomorph, the whole design of it. I think it's the coolest movie creature ever created. Ellen Ripley is one of my all-time favorite movie characters, period. I love a lot of those characters from both of those movies. I like the fact that the first one is a horror movie and the second one is kind of more of an action movie with elements of both horror and action kind of in both of them. But still, the fact that they excelled at two different genres is just a testament how great those movies are. And they still, to this day, hold up really well. However, as much as I love the first two movies, unfortunately, I can't say that there are three Alien movies that I deeply enjoy, or at least I can watch and have a good time with, because everything else has been basically a disaster for me. From Aliens 3 basically killing my enjoyment from the first 5 minutes, to Resurrection being so just weird and out there, which, granted, might be ironically the one I enjoyed the most just because at least it never took itself way too serious for its own good. Prometheus, which is probably objectively the best of those four post-Aliens, but it's what it created that really pisses me off because, as I said, it tried to explain everything from before with space jockeys and engineers, which, to be fair, I didn't really need to know any of that stuff. I just liked the mystery of it because eventually it did spawn Alien Covenant, which, oh God, the less about that, the better. That movie just honestly puts me in a bad mood. That's the one Alien movie, honestly, I'll just say this right now. Everyone I was hoping for bite the dust because I didn't like a single damn character in the entire movie. And of course, butchering the whole xenomorph in terms of how they were created, basically ruining the myth and the mystery and just the mystique about them all in one swell swoop, which is quite amazing to do that all in one movie. But nonetheless, I do not have a good track record with Alien movies after Aliens, the second one. So here we have Alien Romulus. Can I finally say that there's three Alien movies that I can watch and not be ashamed of? It only took since 1986 since Aliens came out, but yes, I could finally say I do have three movies that I can watch within the Alien franchise and not be ashamed about them. No, this movie doesn't stand as good as the first two, but it was probably never going to. Let's just be honest. All it needed to do was be a respectable, fun, entertaining movie that I wasn't disappointed or just pissed off about, and it did that. And that's all I can ever ask for. It's just a shame it took so long to do it, but I'm going to get into why I overall did enjoy my experience and why I do recommend this movie. So I'm going to start with a non-spoiler, then a spoiler, and I'll give my whole conclusion about the whole thing at the end. So, let's get into the non-spoiler section of Alien Romulus. I liked a lot of the set pieces of this movie. I think there's a lot of really good sequences. I liked the whole derelict space station floating in space. I liked a lot of the set pieces that were shot, the lighting, some of the camera angles. I like a lot of intense sequences, which I'll go more in depth in the spoilers, especially a lot of them that involve the face huggers. So I'll just say right now, the face huggers. I'll just say this, I can see a lot of people saying face huggers are more terrifying than a fully grown xenomorph, and I wouldn't have any real argument against that because I definitely agree they are up there and they're used really effectively in this movie. One of the big things I really love a lot is that my biggest problem with all the movies after Aliens is the cast. Because I've always said this about the first two Alien movies. They have what's really underrated about them, I don't think they get enough credit, is we always talk about Ellen Ripley, and she's awesome. But I don't think enough credit goes to the rest of the cast of those first two movies. Those cast, especially in Aliens, it's an all-star lineup. I mean, those characters are so endearing, so memorable, and so awesome. Now, these characters here aren't nowhere near as good as the first two, but I'll say this right now, the fact that I enjoyed more than three of them is a testament to how much I did enjoy this movie. Because normally with all these things, with the exception of Ellen Ripley and like Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, and then with the other two, I think the only character I really cared about was Elizabeth Shaw. I didn't really give a rat's anus about like any of the characters, especially in Covenant. I wish they all died. Here, I actually cared a lot about the characters. I like the two main characters of Rain and Andy. I like their dynamic. I like some of the other characters too. My one complaint, I will say, is probably my biggest complaint of this movie. I wish it was a little bit longer to flesh out the other people and their story. They give a few lines about them, but I think this movie needed another 15 minutes to really give a little bit more info on the other people of this main group, because I feel like they could be really interesting, as well as what ultimately does happen to them in this movie. But I think that's one of the things I would definitely say is my biggest flaws. I just wish I had a little bit longer. Maybe there'll be a director's cut of this movie that can flesh it out a little bit. There's another character who I won't mention to the spoilers section, but I did like their presence a lot. I think they really added. It was cool to see them again, even though I know a lot of people might be a little bit mad over using this person again, and I'll get that more in the spoiler section. But I think they were used really effectively, especially with their interactions with Andy. I wasn't the biggest fan of the last creature, not how it was created in its whole metamorphosis, which is really creepy and terrifying. I just wasn't a fan of how it looked. I don't think it's bad, but it just didn't really click for me. But I don't necessarily think it's objectively bad. It's just something that didn't resonate with me personally. But I liked a lot of they had a lot of Easter eggs and callbacks, including even line callbacks. One line callback, I'll admit, I get what they're trying to do, but me personally, I'll let you know when I get to it in the spoiler section. It kind of pissed me off a little bit, because it is ironically a callback to probably my all-time favorite movie line, which I'll let you know eventually. But I really did enjoy that. This director is also a fan of Alien Isolation, I heard, because they had the whole save thing in one of the scenes and stuff. And I can definitely see some of the sequences drawing inspiration from Isolation. So maybe I'll get another future Alien game similar to Isolation, because that's still one of the biggest gaming tragedies ever. That game didn't get a sequel. But there's not really a lot of things bad I can say about it. I can just say are like really terrible. I mean, there's a few moments maybe they could have done something else, but they made this movie and they didn't disrespect the franchise. They didn't crap on it. They had some callbacks. I guess you could say it may be, in a way, kind of like a modern close version of the original Alien, but also did a few other different things as well. It had a few other references to other movies and stuff like that, and I do like the Easter eggs and stuff. But I also feel like it had its own differences too. And I also like the fact that it came from a standpoint of just people trying to escape, because the whole story is they want to go to a planet, but they need to steal some stasis pods for at least 9 years, I believe, to get to this planet and get away from this Weyland-Yutani mining planet, I believe what it was, because they couldn't even see the sun on it. They just wanted to get out of there, but they had to do it off the radar on this derelict space station that's about to hit an asteroid belt. But I also like the fact that, like, I guess another thing I could say, and I don't call this a flaw, it's just me personally, I wish they had more time spent with Weyland-Yutani, maybe showing some earlier scenes before the whole movie really gets started, because they don't spend too much time on the planet, just like the first 5-10 minutes. But other than that, that's just a personal gripe. I really did like a lot of things of this movie. I liked a lot of what it was trying to do. And I hope if they do continue with this, they keep the same people involved, like directors, people like that, because I enjoyed a lot. They had a lot of cool intense moments. They had a lot of cool character scenes, just moments that are callbacks. So overall, I really did enjoy my experience. But now, let's get into the spoiler section. And here's a big shock to me, is that when I saw him, I didn't know what to think, but Ash, if you remember from the first Alien movie, you had the android of Ash, and basically, I thought it was him at first, but no, it's not Ash. It's just another android that looks like him. But why this is weird is, you know, the guy who plays Ash unfortunately passed away a few years, but they had that character, you know, come back. Obviously, he's called Rook in this movie, but he comes back, and I heard a few people a little mad about this. I remember they did this with Carrie Fisher in Rogue One with Leia after they had it CGI'd, but he's actually in this movie not just for an end scene. He's in this movie quite a decent amount. As he said, he's kind of like, I guess, the information gap to give these new young adults the information, because they have never encountered a xenomorph. That's another thing I want to put right here. When they're on the space station and they see like the face huggers and stuff like that, they don't have no idea what a xenomorph is. It's not like some common knowledge or anything. They're seeing this stuff for the first time, and he's kind of giving them the information about a xenomorph. But just like in the first movie, he's trying to work his slimy ways in terms of getting what he ultimately wants. Because the thing they're trying to do in this movie, I forget what it's called, the official name, but it's like this black liquid they harvested from the xenomorph. It was basically, the purpose of it was, what they were studying is, they were trying to get the best qualities of a xenomorph, which can change the DNA of any living being, and take the best qualities and implement it into other things, including humans. They were testing on a rat. But the point is like, their whole thing was, evolution's too slow. We need an upgrade now because we're so vulnerable. So they had this like little video where they're showing a rat that they killed it. Then they gave it this black liquid, and eventually the rat came back to life. But what happened was, as soon as they left the room with the black liquid vials, the rat and the rest of the video, which you didn't see, basically started busting open. So that whole liquid is the thing that the company was trying to make, and basically Rook was trying to get Andy through the corporate mechanism in his brain, was just basically trying to get him to return that black vial to the company, back to the planet, so they can further study it even more. But I love his dynamic with him and Andy. Now, Andy is an android, and I like the guy who plays him does a really good job. I like the dynamic of when he's playing as Andy. Basically, he was created by Rain's father to serve and protect Rain at all costs. That was his prime directive. During the movie, there's a sequence where they have to change out the chips in his brain, and by doing that, it gives him a bigger clearance, because that's the reason why they brought him on the space shuttle in the first place, is so he can get clearance into the rooms they need to get into. But there was a certain room that he didn't have clearance to, so they had to give him a different chip from one of the androids on the ship, which ironically was Rook at the time. But basically, it overwrote his prime directive. So now he was serving the company, and when he's serving the company, he's very dead serious. He goes from really awkward and weird when he's Andy to just dead serious, to the point where he was willing to kill and even sacrifice some of the members of the team to satisfy the prime directive, which was to deliver that black liquid vials back to the company. So I like that really dynamic. I think the actor did a really good job. Rain, I think, was a very cool main character. I'm so happy like that they didn't try to do this. I know they've tried doing this in the past, where it's like they try too hard to make there another Ellen, and she does have similar characteristics and stuff like that, but I feel like she's her own character. She has a deep bond with Annie the android, and she sees him as a family member and gets really mad whenever the other people were picking on him. By the way, I was mentioning this earlier with the Bajoran, the asshole member of the group, as I like to call him. The reason why he was so harsh on Andy is because they have a line where basically it was an android that resulted in the death of his mother, so it's why he was so mean to Andy. But that's where I said I wish the movie was a little bit longer, so it give the other members of the group some more time to flesh out their characteristics. But as I said, Rain, I think, was a really cool main character. She has some cool moments. Some, I guess, Ripley-like moments, especially of her running around in her underwear trying to figure out what's going on at the end of the movie, and then her basically getting rid of the final xenomorph via the same way Ellen did in the first Alien movie, because there's a lot of similarity there, too. Sometimes maybe a little bit too much for its own good, but I get it. It's all in fun and good love and stuff. But I also feel like she's her own character. So I did like Rain. I did like Andy. Zorn and Navarro, they were all right. I just wish there was more to them, especially Navarro. I didn't really get enough of her, and she's the one who meets her end by a face hugger. And by the way, all these kids, or I wouldn't call them, I guess the kids, young adults, keep in mind, they have no idea what a xenomorph is. So a lot of this stuff that's happening, I know we're screaming at TV like, why don't do this? This is stupid. We have the inside information because we're fans. They don't. So they're encountering it for the first time. As I said, it's through Rook they slowly start to learn this stuff. But Tyler, he was all right, cool, but unfortunately he met his end too. Kay is the one I really felt bad for. She was actually pregnant during this whole movie, and she got done real dirty because she's pregnant. The person that got the face hugger on her, Navarro, she comes back to the ship after to get it off, and you know what happens then. Chest burster comes out in the ship, calls them to crash the ship. Then a fully grown xenomorph comes out after it kills Bajoran through the acid, and it starts stalking after Kay, and it gets to a sequence where Rain and Andy, when he's Corporate Andy, I'll just call him Corporate Andy when he's under the Wayland Yutani influence, but Corporate Andy, Rain, and Tyler, when they're trying to get back to save her, and they have to get her through a door, and only Corporate Andy can open the door, but he sees a xenomorph right behind her, and it's like, it's waiting for us to open the door so he can get us all, so kind of a sad thing there, but she doesn't die. It actually puts her in the wall to, I guess, harvest her later, and they find her, and when they're trying to get away, they basically tell her to go to the ship with the black vials and just get out of here, we'll find another way. At that point, Tyler's already died, and it's just Rain and Andy. Rain telling Kay to get out of there, and they have moments where Rook is trying to tell Kay, because he has access to the whole computers ever on the ship and stuff, that, hey, you know, the other two have already died, you know, fulfill the missions, honor their sacrifice, get this to the colony planet so we can study it some more. But she does a decision. I want to ask you guys this question, because I didn't quite get this. The black vial, they were thinking about using it on her earlier to possibly save her or something. Was she 100% infected? I don't know if she was or not. But my question is, why did she use the vial? Did she even know what the vial is? Because I wasn't aware that... I know they were talking about it when she was kind of unconscious or not laying there, but I didn't know she knew what that was. I don't know if she just did it because she was desperate or something. She was just sitting in the hall, but she injects herself with that, and what happens is that after they get on that ship, and it's just Rain and Andy, and they're about to go on their own course, and it's like, you know, screw the company, we're not going to give this stuff back there. We're just going to go to the planet we wanted to go into the first place, and we're going to go into cryogenic sleep. Kay is already in there sleeping, and Rain's about to, and all of a sudden, Kay's pod wakes up because she's giving birth. And she gives birth to this new type of xenomorph, which I'm just going to call a human morph, because the whole thing about the black liquid that she injected in herself is it's supposed to, like, have the best properties of the xenomorph incorporated into whatever it was injected into. So you have this really, it starts out really, it grows really fast, maybe a little bit too fast, but it grows in this little pod that's like burning through the hull of the ship they're trying to use to get away, and it falls down a little hole, and by the time Rain gets down there to see what it was, she has like some, I think it was like a frost gun or something, but like, by the time she gets down there, it's already fully grown and out there, and goes right back up to where it was originally, to the place where Kay gave birth to it, and Andy, and it's this really tall, human face-looking xenomorph. It looks kind of like an engineer, and it slashes Andy in the head, and then eventually kills poor Kay. So yeah, she went through all that just to get killed by the thing she gave birth to. So yeah, definitely not son of the year for any seeming measure. So I felt bad for her. But see, that's my point I'm trying to get through to you guys. If it was other Alien movies, I'd been like, thank God they're gone. I didn't hate these characters. I did like them. They're not as great as the first two, but I really did like them, especially the two main characters. I think they did a really good job here. But yeah, they have Rain, Ayla, how Ripley was in the first movie, get the human morph out from into the vacuum of space, and so I mean, it's a cool moment to have her suit up in the space shuttle while this thing stalks her, and eventually ends with both Rain and Andy basically Rain vowing to do what she can to fix Andy, and then going in cryogenic sleep to go to this new planet for 9 years, and then doing a space log saying we don't know where this journey's going to take us. And you kind of always think, oh, something bad is going to happen, because anytime you have your main character, an alien, going in sleep mode on a ship, it usually doesn't end well. But overall, I really like this movie. I wish it was longer and added more scenes for the other crew members to fully flesh them out. I think my favorite two moments, period, honestly, from the movie, and a really intense moment, is the moment where they had to go in a scene where there's a bunch of facehuggers in a room, and they had to raise their temperature to be equal to the room so they'd be practically invisible, but they started panicking or sweating, then all the facehuggers would see them and go after them. And the other thing, which I think was cool, was one of the most underrated parts about a xenomorph is their blood, because the blood just eats away at the floor, so that's why you just can't shoot them in a space shuttle or spaceship. So they have the scene where, you know, Rain and Andy are basically about to accept death, and then Rain, through an Andy joke, basically realized that, like, hey, this whole space shuttle has these moments where it goes into zero gravity. Let's turn on zero gravity so that when we shoot the xenomorphs, their blood just stays floating in the air. So it doesn't just hit the hull and make the whole vacuum of space invade the whole ship. Because keep in mind, this whole ship is about to hit a whole asteroid belt in like a matter of minutes, so they had to hurry up. So what's cool is that the blood is still there, but they have to zero gravity position themselves around all the blood and angle themselves while it's all coming floating right after them. So it's a really intense and cool moment. I really did like that sequence a lot. Now I get to my final question that I'm going to ask myself and ask you guys if you have seen it. Do I want to see the survivors, Rain and Andy, return in another movie, or do I want to see them go in another direction? I'll say this right now. I like Rain. I like Andy. I like their presence. I think this movie would do a lot of wonders to them as characters, as well as maybe their own professional creators in other movies. So I like to see these two return. And what I feel like they should do, and I was talking this with a buddy of mine, I really want them to go back to and bring back. We haven't seen it since 1986 Aliens. I want them to bring back the Colonial Marines and have some type of storyline with that. So maybe when they arrive on their planet, somehow people find out what they survived, what they went up against, and maybe they can possibly see if they can't enlist their help and stuff. And I would just like to see the Colonial Marines, because that Colonial Marines from Aliens, that whole cast is so legendary, man. It's just damn. I mean, even the fighter jet pilot, the woman on there was a cool badass character. So guys, I'm really happy. If you can't tell, I'm just so happy one of my favorite franchises can finally say they have a third movie in the franchise that's a satisfying movie. It's not as great as the first two, but let's be honest, it never was going to be. But it's not a bad movie in the slightest. It's a very solid, good movie. I really enjoy it. The good definitely outweighs the bad. By the way, one thing I did almost forget to talk about is they do reference a few lines from older movies, and one of my all-time favorite lines is kind of butchered in this movie. It's not the guy's fault because he is playing Andy, the awkward android, and he does it the way he would say it, but one of my all-time favorite movie line is from Ellen Ripley from Aliens when she comes in with a power layer and basically saying, "Get away from her, you bitch." It's not necessarily what she says, it's how she delivers the line. And he kind of butchers that. It's not his fault. It's basically what they're trying to do with his character. I get it, but I was a little bit mad about that. But that's his personal thing. But overall, I hope this movie can spawn more good Alien content. I hope, because I said earlier, the director is a big fan of Alien Isolation. Hopefully they can spawn an actual maybe sequel or something similar to that, because that's still one of the biggest crimes in gaming, period. I'm looking at you, IGN, by the way. But nonetheless, as I always like to say, that is my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion. Did you see this movie? Are you a big fan of Aliens? What did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Would you like to see the surviving characters return in another movie? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video, and hopefully I can see you guys back on the next one. Thanks, and I'll see you all later. Peace.